Well, and I think, when I always looked at sound in marketing, taking a step back from tech here for a sec, I think of, and maybe we'll get to some of this in our conversation, but I always think of like the McDonald's jingle,
Hmm.
right? Or what are some other really, so many different brands have unique audio signals. We were talking about Apple before we started recording here, and the boot up sound to Mac OS, and there's they surround us in day to day life. I think they just become nascent. It's not like we actively like, oh yeah, that sound, oh yeah, that. It's just it becomes so ingrained in the identity of the product or service, or even if we're in a location, there are specific sounds that even like event venues use. It surrounds us, and I always thought that it was almost this untouchable thing because I thought there was, high cost. It took a level of skill, and I'm sure that's still the case. But it seems like with, bringing it back to technology, with voice technology, that's almost democratizing this a bit. Am I wrong?
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
So in democratizing, I mean smaller and medium-sized brands that maybe never thought that they could
Yes.
deploy a specific
Yes.
sound for their brand can now do that because of voice assistant tech.
Yes, I agree
Okay.
completely. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. In my opinion, you're absolutely right. I think that we've limited ourselves on the idea of sonic branding being music. It's
Yeah.
not just music. It's sound. It's sonic, and sonic is waveforms. That's vibrations. That's haptic vibrations. That's ultrasonic rays. That's that's
Yeah.
everything. And we are all about sound. So the limitation of music that I would see a lot is somebody be like, well, I don't know music, so I'll just hire this
Hmm.
guy to write something, or I'll hire this company to just pull some tracks for me or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they disassociate themselves with their brand by doing
Like,
that.
did people almost think that it had to be like a jingle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think, and maybe we can get into this at some point, but I believe calling a sonic logo a jingle is limiting it. Because,
Yeah.
in my opinion, a jingle is for an isolated campaign or event. So, yes, it can become something that is a brand association, but the first and primary reason for its existence was we're going to do this commercial campaign or this video campaign, and then it
Yeah.
just happened to work longer. But I digress on that point. But by saying that it's more than music, that is how it is democratized to small and big businesses. And it puts small businesses in the running. You can actually compete with larger companies because if you can find a sound, and again, a sound, not music, that really associates with you, you are now one step closer to creating a real, true genuine brand story.
Hmm.
Something that I talk about a lot is sensory marketing. We have five senses and we only focus on sight. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
We really do when it comes to marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's hard sometimes because like I would think of, a UX or UI designer, you have to worry about, development and coding and all of that stuff. And it's easy to get like sucked into that side. But if you don't recognize the emotional connection, which is something like sound or touch or
Yeah.
taste or smell, because sometimes they apply. If you don't recognize that side, you are going to sound really robot.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a way to, like, for example, Alexa or Google or any of those voice assistants. They're getting better and better, but it's always like a joke. You're talking to a robot. And to truly get to a place where we recognize and associate with it rather than just an electronic instrument, we
Right.
have to understand the linguistics of how to phrase things. We have to figure out how to teach it sarcasm. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm
Oh
ready
gosh.
for Alexa to be sarcastic at me.
Which
Holy
well,
cow.
by the way, I don't know if you knew, kind of a side track here, but have you bought the Samuel Jackson voice for Alexa?
No,
I
I have
have.
young children, so I
Okay, that would make sense then. Because I remember right after they came out with that, I was like, all right, I gotta check this out to see if it's what they
I'm
say it
super
is.
curious. Yeah,
And 99 cents, also really cheap to do this,
yeah,
but just to be able to interact with Samuel Jackson as the voice of, I wouldn't even say he's the voice of Alexa. It's like Samuel Jackson is the voice assistant at that point, and of course he's throwing in all his Sam LJ, quips and,
sure.
swear words and all that stuff, which makes it
Mhm.
fun. but it's adding an entirely, taking it from that sound perspective, it's adding an entirely new level of branding, I think, to the whole thing.